Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, The Middle Ages. Today we're journeying back in time to explore some of the most formidable and iconic structures of the medieval world, the castles of the Crusaders. These weren't just stone fortresses, they were symbols of power, centers of administration, and vital strategic hubs that dotted the landscape of the Holy Land. From the sun-scorched hills of modern-day Syria and Jordan to the coastal plains of Israel and Lebanon, these castles tell a story of conquest, faith, and incredible engineering. So, what made Crusader castles so special? Well, it was all about adapting and innovating. When the first European knights arrived in the Levant, they brought with them their own ideas of castle design, mainly the motte and bailey style, a simple wooden keep on an earthen mound. But they quickly realized that the local terrain and the military tactics of their opponents, like the Seljuk Turks and later the Saracens, demanded something far more robust. The hot, dry climate also made wooden structures impractical. They needed stone, and lots of it. This led to a fascinating fusion of Western European, Byzantine, and Islamic architectural styles. The Crusaders were quick learners. They observed the sophisticated fortifications of the Byzantine Empire and the clever defensive features of Islamic forts and incorporated them into their own designs. This blend created a new, hybrid style of military architecture that was perfectly suited to the unique challenges of the region. They weren't just copying, they were creating something new and incredibly effective. Let's talk about some of the key features that made these castles so tough to crack. First, you have concentric defenses. Think of it like a stone onion. Instead of just one wall, the most advanced castles, like the famous Crac de Chevalier, had multiple layers of walls. If an attacker managed to breach the outer wall, they would find themselves trapped in a deadly killing ground, exposed to fire from the defenders on the inner wall. This design maximized defensive firepower and made a direct assault almost suicidal for any invading army. Then there's the strategic placement. Crusader castles were rarely built just anywhere. They were meticulously positioned to control key trade routes, mountain passes, and vital water sources. They often stood on high, rocky outcrops, making them incredibly difficult to approach. This gave the defenders a huge advantage, allowing a small garrison to hold out against a much larger force. The view from the top of one of these castles would have been breathtaking, but more importantly, it allowed lookouts to spot an approaching enemy from miles away. Inside the walls, these castles were like small, self-sufficient towns. They had to be because sieges could last for months, even years. They contained everything needed for survival. Large cisterns to store rainwater, granaries for food, stables for horses, a chapel for worship, and living quarters for the soldiers and knights. Some even had their own windmills or olive presses. Life inside was a mix of military discipline and communal living, all centered around defending the fortress and controlling the surrounding territory. Now let's dive into some of the most legendary examples. No discussion of Crusader castles is complete without mentioning Crac de Chevalier in Syria. T.E. Lawrence, also known as Lawrence of Arabia, called it perhaps the best preserved and most wholly admirable castle in the world. And he wasn't wrong. Built and expanded by the Knights Hospitaller, it's a masterpiece of military engineering. Its massive sloping base, or talus, was designed to protect against siege engines and mining attempts. Its inner and outer walls are studded with projecting towers that provide flanking fire, leaving no blind spots for an attacker to hide. It was so well designed that it held out against numerous attacks, only falling to a siege in 1271 through a bit of trickery. Another incredible site is the Castle of Margat, also on the Syrian coast. This was another stronghold of the Knights Hospitaller, and it was enormous. Built from black basalt rock, it looked incredibly menacing. Its most impressive feature is its massive donjon, or keep. This circular tower was a fortress within a fortress, the last line of defense. The sheer scale of Margat shows the immense resources and ambition of the military orders. It could house up to 1,000 soldiers and had enough supplies to withstand a 5-year siege. Moving on, we have the Teutonic Knights' stronghold, Montfort Castle, nestled in the hills of northern Israel. Its name means strong mountain, and it's easy to see why. Perched on a narrow, steep ridge, it was almost impossible to assault directly. Unlike the massive coastal castles, Montfort was more of a headquarters and administrative center for the Teutonic Order, housing their archives and treasury. Today, its ruins are a hauntingly beautiful reminder of the Crusaders' presence in the Galilee. But the story of these castles isn't just about the Christian knights. Their opponents, the Ayyubids, and later the Mamluks, led by brilliant commanders like Saladin and Baybars, also became master castle builders and siege engineers. They learned from the Crusaders, just as the Crusaders learned from them. Saladin's citadel in Cairo is a prime example of advanced Islamic military architecture from the same period. The Mamluk Sultan Baybars, in particular, became an expert at capturing Crusader castles, using powerful siege weaponry and clever tactics. The fall of castles like Crac des Chevaliers and Marga in the late 13th century marked the beginning of the end for the Crusader states. The decline of the Crusader kingdoms meant the decline of their castles. Many were dismantled by their Mamluk conquerors to prevent them from ever being used by Christian forces again. Others were simply abandoned to the elements, their stones gradually crumbling over the centuries. Some were repurposed, becoming parts of local villages or administrative centers for later empires. Today, these castles stand as silent witnesses to a turbulent and fascinating period of history. They are more than just piles of rock. They are monuments to the ingenuity, faith, and ferocity of the medieval warrior. Visiting them feels like stepping straight into the past. You can walk the battlements, where knights once stood watch, peer through the arrow slits they fired from, and stand in the great halls where they planned their campaigns. They are a tangible link to the world of the Crusades, a world of epic conflict and cultural exchange that shaped the course of history for centuries to come. Exploring these incredible structures reminds us of the sheer human effort and architectural genius that went into their construction. Without modern machinery, thousands of laborers and skilled masons toiled under the hot sun, quarrying stone and hoisting it into place to create these defensive masterpieces. They are a testament to what people can achieve when driven by powerful beliefs and the urgent need for survival. Thank you so much for joining me on this tour of the Crusader castles. I hope you found it as fascinating as I do. What's your favorite medieval castle? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Middle Ages for more deep dives into this incredible era, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay curious.